Once you have analyzed and sorted your to-do list by urgency and importance, planning will allow you to see how they best fit together. Some tasks might overlap. Other times, one task cannot begin without the completion of another task. Other tasks might even need collaboration, and when you'll be able to do it will ultimately be influenced by the availability of others. Planning is thus an essential part of time management. It allows you to take a step back and take a look at the bigger picture. If you've ever underestimated the time it will take you to complete your finance assignment, then you have unwittingly been guilty of the planning fallacy. First proposed by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky in 1979, the planning fallacy is one of the most common cognitive biases. When displaying this planning fallacy, we have a tendency to display an optimism bias by underestimating the time needed. So why does this happen? You see, usually when formulating our predictions of how long a given activity will take, we work through all the steps typically involved in that activity and the typical time of each step. For example, getting to campus on time for that 8 a.m. lecture. You briefly think about the time it takes to get ready, how long it will take to walk to the bus stop, the bus journey, and then walking from the bus to your lecture venue. On a typical day, your typical estimation will be correct. But on any given day, any of these steps might hit a snag. Your alarm doesn't go off, the bus is running late, your lecture venue was moved across campus last minute. Studies have been conducted where participants have been asked to predict how long a project will take to complete in A, a typical scenario, that is the best case scenario when nothing goes wrong, and B, how long they anticipate it will take if something does go wrong. Studies have shown that people tend to give estimates that are almost identical. It is important to be aware of this cognitive bias when creating your action plan. Interestingly, research has also shown that this fallacy is only applicable when the individual predicts for themselves. That is, individuals are more able to predict how long someone else will take to complete the task. A useful workaround for this bias, then, is to ask yourself how long will someone else take to complete a given activity, as you are more likely to guess that correctly. When approaching the planning and executing phase, remember that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. We all have our own quirks and methods that we prefer to implement. There's more than one way to create a plan, and you should tweak this process to best suit you. Let's begin with the suggested outline. First, compile a prioritized list. This we compiled by the end of the previous video. We untangled our thoughts and tasks by dumping the contents of our brain onto paper or perhaps into an app. Next, we filtered it by importance and urgency to gain a better understanding of what needs to get done first and what can be eliminated from the list. We now have a shorter, more manageable list of tasks, hopefully with a clearer understanding of how everything will fit together into our long-term vision of our lives. Step 2, weekly planning. Have you ever sat down and began adding events and tasks to your calendar? You reach Friday only to realize that you forgot your dentist appointment was on Tuesday, and the study session you blocked in for Tuesday will need to move, but you have a tutorial you need to attend on Wednesday. To avoid this, once a week, perhaps on a Sunday night, have a planning session where you take all the things that need to get done and figure out which need to be completed in the upcoming week. This is called pre-planning. Make sure to add any events, appointments, tests, and other tasks that have a fixed time to your calendar. Some of these tasks will be once off, others will be recurring. Daily planning. Either the night before or first thing in the morning, take a look at the list, for the week and add items from your weekly list to your daily list. Try your best to gauge how long each activity will take, as this will determine how many tasks you will be able to add to your day. I'd like to suggest two different ways of doing this. The first is called time boxing or time blocking. Essentially, time boxing is the process of allotting a set amount of time for each task. These boxes are then integrated into your daily plan. An obvious critique of this method is that it appears extremely robotic. Your entire day would have been scheduled in advance, not leaving any freedom in your day for unstructured free time. For some of us, this inflexibility may even be daunting. Yet many others, including Bill Gates and Elon Musk, find this technique beneficial. By using time blocking, you'll be forced to focus intently on the task at hand, and there's a predefined window in which you can work on it. During the day, you'll end up spending less time deciding what comes next, as everything is already predetermined. You will also have less unstructured free time, which decreases the chances that you'll be drawn into procrastination. Another alternative to time blocking is to make a list of the tasks you wish to accomplish in the day, written in the order in which you will do your tasks. Jot down an estimate starting time for each task, but do not block in a specific time for each activity. As with time boxing, you'll be encouraged to work toward getting things done within those allocated slots. However, unlike time boxing, you will have some flexibility in when you begin each task. Lastly, remember to track your daily and weekly progress by checking off the tasks as they are completed. This can help keep you motivated and provide a sense of accomplishment as you watch your list shorten every day. Here are some tips and other considerations to keep in mind when creating your plan. Be self-aware. Know what works for you. Do you prefer working mornings and exercising in the evenings? Perhaps it takes you longer to do a certain activity, or you're really efficient at it. Remember to budget your time accordingly. Certain activities can benefit from routine. Examples of this might be going to the library at a regular time period, or perhaps setting your alarm at the same time every day for your gym workout. This provides a structure which allows you to get what you need done predictably and efficiently. You already have routines like brushing your teeth first thing in the morning, so try to actively build one that benefits you. Multitasking is not usually ideal, as we lose productivity by trying to focus on two things at once. However, there are certain tasks that are ideal for multitasking. For example, listening to audio tapes while driving or taking the bus. Instead of splitting your focus across two or more activities, it is possible to start one activity, focus on that, move on to the another, before coming back to the first task. This is called layering and is useful for tasks that don't require your continuous focus. Example: if you need to do the laundry, cook dinner, and read the next chapter of your economics textbook, start by throwing your clothes in the washing machine. While that's going, begin preparing dinner, pop that in the oven, and while you're waiting on the laundry cycle to conclude and your dinner to finish cooking, you can get out to the reading. That way, you're actually doing 3 things at once without continuously focusing on all 3 at the same time. Try planning tomorrow today. That is, make sure when you wake up tomorrow, you know exactly where you're going. There's never a question of what comes next. It's all scheduled out. Don't get too caught up in the feeling like you have to follow your plan exactly. Life happens. Interruptions and delays are bound to happen. Tasks take longer than expected. It's a learning process, and over time you will get better at estimating how long each activity takes. Be flexible and adapt. Don't be too hard on yourself. Remember to set aside time for recuperation. However it is you recharge your batteries, whether it's going for a run or doing some yoga or spoiling yourself to a pamper session at a spa, Make sure that you set aside this time to ensure that you're refreshed and ready to give your all to the next task at hand. If you'd prefer, kick it old school and jot your lists and plans down on a whiteboard or a piece of paper. But nowadays, there are many digital tools that might make your life easier. In the last video of this series, we will recommend a few apps to get you started. Now that you have your action plan, it's time to implement it. In our next video, we will be looking at ways to keep you motivated and ensure that you stick to your plan.